morning, we are tracking some of the prominent developments in the country that seem to preoccupy most of the discussions last week. These are around the announcement on the terms of reference on the state of capture, Davos, as well as the positive spirit the country was received in, particularly at Davos, the NPA and the Hawks development on state capture-related cases, Eskom, the ANC leadership in particular with regards to President Jacob Zuma and those implicated in state capture. So really there is so much to talk about. So to help us analyse these developments, we've got Professor Tinyiko Maluleke. He's from the University of Pretoria and he's joining us in our Hatfield studios. Prof, thanks for being with us here on the programme.
Good morning, Leanne, and good morning to the viewers.
Let's start off with Eskom. So Eskom's got a new board. Meanwhile, two of its executives appeared before Parliament last week. Then the recently appointed acting CEO, Sean Moritz, has been served with a notice of suspension by the board. This is a web that is slowly unfolding, but how deep does this go? I mean, when can we see this finally beginning to settle?
Yeah, Leanne, it's, I think we have seen over the past 2 weeks a lot of movement. We have seen the overhaul at Eskom. We have seen the state security agencies that have been asleep for years wake up. We have seen the asset forfeiture unit and the Hawks acting. We have just seen stuff that we have been thirsty for years, and I think Eskom is quite key in many ways because it is because it's an important SOE for the country, for the economy, but also because it seems to have had a particular role in the state capture narrative of the country.
Yeah, it certainly has. And I mean, this is something that many people are watching and waiting very patiently for answers. What happens with the hearings right now in the Commission? I mean, where to from here?
Just say that again, Leanne.
In terms of the Commission and the hearings into Eskom, where to from here? I mean, we've seen so many things being divulged at the Commission, and yet it still feels like there's so many unanswered questions. Where to from here?
Well, it's important to note that the Eskom inquiry is really a parliamentary inquiry. And because it is a parliamentary inquiry, it ought to be taken more seriously by those who are being interviewed, Matsela Koko, Anot Singh and others, than we have seen them do. And it seems to me that the expectation is that it will move from parliamentary inquiry to a court of law if criminal charges are laid, or to a judicial commission of inquiry if that is set up indeed.
Yeah. Let's move on to Davos quickly, because we've obviously got so many events to talk about. This has been the busiest month, I think, in the history of Januaries. We saw a very successful Davos, and this was, I think, very much so needed for Team South Africa from previous years where they couldn't get meetings with the people they wanted to. So this year, actually turning people away is what we've been hearing, that people were really wanting to see South Africa and meet with them and prospective deals and whatever else happens in Davos. But the reality is that there have been some positive comments, even though there's still issues with our SOEs. Is South Africa seeing that turnaround that we're desperate for?
I think, you know, South Africans owe a debt to the team led by the Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa that went to Davos. It's clear that something has shifted and that they have sold the country very well. I think it was important that they sorted out Eskom the way they did before going to Davos and not after or during Davos. So I think it's early days. As Cyril Ramaphosa said, what we have now is a bag full of commitments, but whether those will, whether they'll be made good of, we will have to wait and see.
Yeah. I want to move on now to the ANC's Ace Magashule, saying that obviously we saw what happened, the seizure of, they seized with the issue of President Jacob Zuma's departure, saying that this is not going to happen. Jessie Duarte adding her voice to this, saying that President Zuma should be expected to serve until 2019. He's going nowhere. What do you think?
Well, until they deny something, you shouldn't take it seriously. But I think the fact that both of them, members of the top six, are speaking out and cautioning against growing expectations for President Zuma to go, that tells you that there is real pressure for him to go. It's a telltale sign that comes from the highest echelon of the party, and they wouldn't deny it if it wasn't true. So I don't think we should believe what they say. It should be taken with a pinch of salt. I think the pressure is on. The NEC itself, after the last meeting, and Ace Magashule himself did say that a decision has been made, but that no timelines have been set. So to say something different now just tells you that there's something amiss, and it is possible that this is Ace Magashule's response to the action of the Hawks. That perhaps we need to draw the dots and connect those two things.
Yeah, just on that closing note, Ace Magashule now being threatened basically from the DA, saying they are considering a vote of no confidence against him in the Free State Legislature. All of this on the back of what you're mentioning, the raids by the Hawks. The Secretary General really in a bit of a tight position right now. Where do you see this going? This is a big investigation, and this Vrede Dairy Farm is certainly one that the Hawks, everybody is after this right now.
Well, there are many ways this could go, but what is clear is that the likes of Ace Magashule, the likes of Minister Mosebenzi Zwane, and those that worked with him on the Vrede Farm project, including the Guptas themselves, they are going to have it's tough days ahead for them, and perhaps there's no need for the ANC to do anything else other than wait for the state security agencies and the prosecutorial agencies to do their job.
We leave it there for this morning. Prof, thanks very, very much for talking to us. We know that there is so much to get through, but Professor doing a great job in giving us his views on some of those big stories that were coming out last week, and we can only imagine it's going to get a lot more depth to them. Professor Tinyiko Maluleke going through those topical developments in our country.